My pleasure to welcome you to Rana Jewel Weekly Podcast. In this number, I will be delighted to host Claude Moret, the head of Wood Mackenzie Hydrogen and Low Carbon Middle East and North Africa. Bonjour Claude, mon plaisir est de vous recevoir parmi nous et ce sera un immense plaisir de vous recevoir dans d'autres occasions.
Merci beaucoup, Shoaib. Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. Really look forward to exchanging with you.
Okay, the pleasure is all mine. In today's podcast, we'll delve into a challenging topic, the green hydrogen storage and transportation challenges. We are all using hydrogen in several applications for more than a century in steel and metalworking, petrochemistry, and other fields. But as an energy source, it seems tough to generalize it in a large scale application. Not only that, recently, we talk a lot about the green hydrogen, which we produce from renewable energy sources, where we need a huge investment to produce electricity first and use it to break the hydrogen from the oxygen. I'm talking about water through the electrolyzers. Madam Claude, we all know that the green hydrogen is a challenging solution to reduce carbon emissions. On the other hand, it's still out of global energy mix, as its cost of production still not competing strongly. My question is, are the actual regulations and subsidies helping to overcome this issue?
Thank you very much, Shoaib, for setting the scene. Regulation today is playing a fundamental role to help shape the market. So, as you mentioned, hydrogen has been produced for a long time, and it's been produced in a way which we are looking to actually reduce the carbon intensity of the molecule of hydrogen that we've been producing. So that's either with carbon capture, and that's the blue hydrogen, or as you were discussing, the green hydrogen, which is coming from electrolysis with a source of electricity, which is from renewable. The challenge coming from the variability of the electricity from a renewable source, may it be solar or wind, which as a direct impact for the cost of this green hydrogen molecule to be produced, because to minimize the unit cost of the green molecule of hydrogen, you need to make sure that your costly piece of equipment, the electrolyzer, are going to be utilized as much as possible. Therefore, you need to make sure that they are going to be sourced with electricity all the time. So you have this problem, which our project developers are finding a solution either by hybrid wind and solar in the right location. But there is also the regulation, like you were mentioning, which has been playing a very important role by defining in the short term how in Europe, for example, the temporality in terms of project developer being able to connect their electrolyzer on the grid, and on a monthly basis, displaying that whatever they've been taking potentially at night, they will, this amount of electricity has been re-injected to the grid. And then that's all the discussion about reducing this time to hourly level, which is also a big discussion now with the IRA in the US. So yes, cost is currently a key issue that the green hydrogen value chain needs to be passing through this key hurdle, and regulation plays a very important role.
And the big challenge, I believe, is how to subsidize to reduce the cost of production of hydrogen. I think, and this is a big issue, and many countries, I believe, especially in the European Union, are working on that. They are working to reduce the cost of production of hydrogen. My question is, we'll talk about the biggest hurdles of hydrogen. So, One of the biggest hurdles of hydrogen is the metal embrittlement, which is hampering its development pace, as the storage and transportation are both the main concern of the researchers and engineers. Europe is lacking of energy sources as it's dependent to the costly imports. By the way, it's planning to produce 10 million tons of green hydrogen and imports the same amount by 2030. Madam Claude, do you think that Europe will succeed to realize its plan amid these technical and financial challenges?
Oh, yes, ambition that Europe put for itself are quite very ambitious, quite high. As you mentioned, the key, I would say, problem. It's not a problem, but the complexity with the smallest molecule of the periodic table, hydrogen,
Yes.
is that it's not easy to transport. It's not easy to store.
Even
which
to
means,
store. Yeah, it's not easy even to store.
Which means that if so far hydrogen was produced and consumed on site. It's not never people have never been thinking of transporting it from different
locations,
different locations, and which means that the infrastructure is not really in place. And as you mentioned, there are limitations in terms of how much you can blend hydrogen with the existing gas pipeline infrastructure, because it's creating this embrittlement problem. So it's massive. The European hydrogen backbone plan is of utmost importance to move forward, to be able to enable Europe to meet its target, because we need to, of course, connect the place where it's going to be the cheapest to produce green hydrogen, where it's going to be needed. And the prioritization of the need of hydrogen is also something which is very important, because, again, and sorry if our auditors know that already, but hydrogen is to be used when electricity cannot decarbonize an industry. So that's why we call it the hard to abate sector. That's when the molecule of hydrogen really makes sense. And these are different industry. Of course, ammonia fertilizer industry is currently the biggest consumer of hydrogen, but refineries are consumer of hydrogen.
Yes.
Then we have the new usage that are thought about using this green hydrogen, but again, these are to displace another source of energy, and the economics needs to work. That's why I think we were talking about regulation initially. Regulation to actually incentivize demand is very, very important. Huh?
Yeah, agreed. That's the issue at the moment, because European Union is planning to produce 10 million tons and to import the same volumes from another locations. And I think this is a challenging, a turning point for the countries of the European Union, is to handle the technology and to reduce the size of the electrolyzers. And I think, and by the way, we need a large scale investment, scale investment in technology and then say in renewable energies. I'm talking about the volumes will be produced inside the European Union, but the big problem is in the imports. When we talk about the imports, how they will import the hydrogen, will import it like hydrogen or like under a form of ammonia. Is it possible to connect it to connect the European Union with the countries from North Africa, like Algeria, with the pipe? I think we talk about the blending hydrogen with natural gas, because Algeria is linking Europe with two pipelines of of natural gas. So I think this is another possibility to blend a percentage of hydrogen with natural gas, or just to transport, build a new pipeline to deliver hydrogen to the countries of the European Union. But the big issue technically we are engineers and we have talked all the time about technical problems is the pipe embrittlement. And I think this is a big issue. We need a large scale investment, not only from the European unions, from the importers and the exporters, and I think need a large investment to be done for the hydrogen, let's say, to meet that target. Madame Claude, the second part, I'm going to the second part of this podcast. I will talk about the competition between fossils and hydrogen. Fossils still dominates the global energy mix by 80%. So my question is, it's a long question anyway. How can hydrogen compete the fossils, as many developing countries don't have enough financial capabilities to direct investment to low carbon emissions projects, as many of them still are relying on cheap energy sources like coal? We can mention the lack of money to produce renewable energies, the money to get the electrolyzers, and to get fresh water. This is a big problem, I think, and to produce and store and transport the hydrogen.
Yes.
So how can you compete hydrogen?
So for me, just to put things into perspective, I think hydrogen is not in direct competition with fossil fuel. It's going to be part of the future energy mix more and more, but it's not planning to replace fossil fuel. We need to make clear that the projection about how hydrogen in the energy mix by 2050, it will be between 3 and 8% maximum. So it is playing a very important role in the decarbonization of the economy, yes, but it's not going to tomorrow. We are not going to live in a hydrogen economy where everything will be hydrogen powered. Huh?
Yes.
So I think that's important to understand the fact that because we are starting from close to zero, it requires a lot of investment, and even 5% of the global energy mix at global scale, it's huge. It's a lot of gigawatts. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of investment required.
A lot of technology.
This needs to happen. A lot of technology, and it needs to happen much faster than what we've seen. Oil and gas has been developing for I would say centuries, but for decades.
Yeah.
So that's one point. When you were mentioning the country that are relying on coal for their electricity, for their energy. True. Yes, it is India, China are still building coal plants.
Germany, United States.
But at the same, what we need to understand is that there is an opportunity for the country that have, let's say, a lot of land to deploy technology who became very, very, I would say, effective. The cost of solar now is one of the cheapest source of electricity that can be produced. So for countries who have the possibility to deploy solar, it's great. Then if they are very advantaged and they have a combination of wind and solar, then they can actually think of transforming this energy from the sun and the wind into, I would say, a fuel that they will be able to sell by electrolyzing their water resource. Well,
Yeah.
now in desert, usually you might think that there is not often water available, but that's
we need fresh water.
the technology, they're working more and more on trying to look at electrolysis of seawater, because today the water needs to be
Desalination of seawater, right?
yeah. So but all this to say that country who didn't have any hydrocarbon resource, can think of actually becoming a producer of energy, and if they have a lot, we even think of exporting it. So that's something which is a really, I would say, from a map of the flow of energy, could be a game changer for the country that will be able to benefit and attract the investment. I'm thinking about some region in Africa where there is a lot of wind and solar. They could, become exporter of green hydrogen molecule, and Europe is willing to import it. So
exactly, Claude, because the hydrogen as an energy, it needs another energy. I'm talking about green hydrogen. So to produce green hydrogen, we need another energy. We need solar energy. We need wind energy. So we need another energy to produce another green energy. That's why making the hydrogen more costly, I believe, and it's still not really competing enough the fossils at the moment. My last question is about the energy and competition between fossils and hydrogen. Assuming that the equivalent of energy in 1 ton of hydrogen is competing 1 ton of fossils, I'm talking about production. Hydrogen is 57 times lighter than gasoline vapor and 14 times lighter than air. So it has a challenging technical issue, which is pipe embrittlement. This issue is rising up, and adding to that, the storage where we need double-walled vacuum insulated tanks equipped with several process safeguards. Do you think that transforming this ammonia and H3 is a key solution for transportation? And I give an example of Saudi Arabia, which is doing at the moment, is investing to produce up to 600 tons per day of carbon-free hydrogen in the form of green ammonia, starting from 26, with an investment of $8.4 billion, which led by NEOM Green Hydrogen Company and GHC. So this is a long question also, but this is a challenging question, I believe, for the audience.
So indeed, due to at the beginning we were discussing about the difficulty of transporting hydrogen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one of the carrier of choice of hydrogen is now ammonia. Why? Because there is seaborne traded ammonia, meaning that the infrastructure to transport ammonia from one country to the other by boat, this boat exists.
Yeah.
The port, the handling of ammonia is known. There are process. So this is not new, and it is something that is the least, between brackets, the least path of resistance to transport hydrogen. Issue is that it makes sense when you are not requiring to transform the ammonia back under gaseous form, under hydrogen, so the famous cracking or back cracking of ammonia.
Yes.
Because
we need high temperatures. Yeah, we need to increase temperature to, I think, 600 degrees Celsius. This is another let's say we need more energy to be dissipated.
Exactly. So today's technology, there's a step of transforming ammonia back into hydrogen is more or less consuming 25% of the energy content of you have a ship of 10 ton, you're going to use 2.5 ton of your shipment of energy equivalent to transform it back into hydrogen. So what does what the industry is doing is that instead of consuming hydrogen, they think of, hey, let's consume ammonia. And that's one of the reasons that you've been hearing a lot of development are being done to actually co-fire ammonia with coal in power plants as a mean to reduce the carbon intensity of the emission of this plant. And also there is a lot of discussions that the marine sector will be having an engine that can actually function with ammonia, and that NOx will be emission will be managed. So that's the complexity with hydrogen is that it has a lot of derivative, and we've been discussing ammonia, but we can also transform hydrogen into methanol. That's also a very important derivative that is used today. That can be also, if you have the hydrogen molecule produced in a not so much carbon intensive way, you can also help reduce the carbon intensity of a lot of products, all the methanol value chain, and as we discussed, ammonia.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So yeah, it's challenging. Hydrogen is green hydrogen, I think, is a key solution to reduce carbon emissions. But I think we have a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges we are facing today, and how to reduce the cost. Because at the end of the day, if you go to the countries of the south, you ask him about the hydrogen, to produce hydrogen, he will say, okay, I don't have access even to energy. How do you ask me to reduce the emissions? So this is the big problem we are facing today. Thank you very much, Claude. It was really a pleasure hosting you. Really, I hope was really hope to host you in other opportunities in the future. And I have to thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
For your insight and your added value to our program. Thank you very much.